Welcome back, everybody. It's Untap Your Go, and today we're going to be playing with some new Strixhaven cards. And I'm very sorry for the late upload, but I gotta say, I have been playing some decks, and these cards are absolutely ridiculous. So, first deck of the season is TEFERI Turns Blue-White Control in Historic. So, I'm very sorry for those of you who hate blue as a color, but blue has gotten some really ridiculous cards in the Mystical Archive. So, breaking down the deck, all 4 copies of Brainstorm because obviously it's like the best draw spell in the game probably for blue, outside of Ancestral Vision, let's be real. But in Historic, this is like the best draw spell, and we get to kind of filter our draws and kind of just like manipulate the top of our library pretty well. And with that in combination of Teferi just drawing cards and, you know, like Search for Escanta, scrying stuff away, like we actually get to like kind of draw whatever we want to, really. Getting into the next couple of new cards, we have all 4 copies of Memory Lapse. This card is hilarious, an amazing counterspell. Counter target spell, if the spell was countered this way, put it on top of its owner's library instead of that player's graveyard. So it kind of just time walks them for a turn, but that's really good for control because it gives you enough time to get all the resources you need to try to control the game. 1 copy of Search for Escanto, we all know and love. 1 copy of Dovin's Veto, because it's just like the best counterspell against control matchups. 2 copies of Teferi's Protection. This is a 3-mana instant. Until your next turn, your life total can't change, and you gain protection from everything. All your permanents phase out until your next turn, so make sure that you spend your mana correctly, because if you plan on doing Teferi's turn plus like a draw spell, do the draw spell first, because you won't have access to the mana once everything phases out. And then upon resolution, this exiles itself, so you can't buy it back, which kind of sucks. But it's a really, really good fog effect to just buy yourself a turn, you know, so you can board wipe or whatever you need to do. 2 copies of Solve the Equation. This is another new card from Strixhaven. This is an uncommon, and honestly, probably one of the best cards, like one of the best uncommons in the set, in my opinion. 3-mana sorcery. Search your library for an instant or sorcery card, reveal it, put it to your hand, and then shuffle. Short, sweet, to the point. Very, very good tutor, especially since we are playing Time Warp, which we will get to. 2 copies of Narset, obviously good against control matchups and any deck that wants to draw. Plus, it's going to help find us resources, very important. 4 copies of Absorb. I originally started out with 3, but honestly, I just like going a hard control version of the deck, and being able to hold up a counterspell on turn 3 pretty consistently feels good. 2 copies of Wrath of God, destroys all creatures that can't be regenerated. 2 copies of the Behold the Multiverse. I just threw these in before I started recording. I wasn't originally playing these, but the one thing I did notice, surprisingly, is that the deck does sometimes run out of steam. Like, if you don't have a Brainstorm or a Teferi, you're not really doing a whole lot, honestly. And this is just a nice, like, little mediator to not, like, run out of steam, but also gives you some gas in the mid to late game, regardless if you have these or not. 1 copy of Doomscar, just because it's just another board wipe to have. You can cast it as early as turn 3, but I started out with 3 copies, but it was really clunky and awkward, so I just cut this down to 1. 4 copies of Time Warp, take extra turns. That's the whole concept of the deck. We want to take as many turns as possible, so this is the best, basically the best Time Walk we have access to, considering that it doesn't exile itself, so we can buy it back. Very important. 4 copies of Teferi, Hero of Dominaria. 5 mana, we already know this guy, it's ridiculous. This is basically our win condition. I do not own any copies of Approach of the Second Sun, but if you do, you probably want to play like 1 or 2 copies in this deck, because this is like probably the best deck to be playing that. You're taking all these turns, you're drawing a bunch of cards, you're going to be able to play the first and second copy very quickly, and I'm basically trying to win with Teferi's ultimate, which is just exiling all of their permanents. Then we have 1 copy of Commit to Memory, 4-mana instant, put target spell or non-land permanent into its owner's library second from the top. Decent counterspell, but we're really playing this for the memory half. 6 mana, you can shuffle, each player shuffles their hand and graveyard into their library, then draws 7 cards. Obviously very good when we have Narset in play, because your opponent gets to draw 1 card out of it, and then we shuffle the rest of their hand away. And then 1 copy of Seagate Restoration, 7 mana sorcery, draw cards equal to the number of cards in your hand, plus 1, you have no maximum hand size for the rest of the game, or you can play it as a land. And then in the mana base, just a mix of basics, a mix of duels, Fable Passages to make sure we have enough islands, or Mystic Sanctuaries, which comes into play, if we have 3 or more other islands, this comes into play untapped, and when it does, you get to put target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard on top of your library, which is great, because if you're taking extra turns, Teferi draws, you get to like play your Mystic Sanctuary, get Time Warp back on top, draw it with Teferi, rinse, repeat, for as many times as you have Mystic Sanctuaries and or Time Warps. Then we have one copy of the Biblioplex to finish off the mana base. And this card is actually fun. I love this card. It's not great in a lot of situations, but when you do have the 7 or more cards, like the end step, it's going to make you discard down to 7 no matter what. So it's very easy to just like begin a turn with 7 cards and just be like, okay, I'm just going to activate this first. It's basically just like another copy of Escanto the Sunken Ruin, which it's not as good, but it's fun. It's fine. In the sideboard, one copy of Test of Talents, another new card, counters target instant or sorcery, searches controller's graveyard, hand, and library for any number of cards as the same name as that spell, exile them. They draw a card for each card that was exiled from their hand this way. Pretty sweet. 2 more copies of Dovin's Veto against control matchups, 2 copies of Elite Spellbinders, another new card, 3 mana, 3/1 with flying. When Elite Spellbinder enters the battlefield, look at target opponent's hand. You may exile a non-land card from it. For as long as that card remains exiled, its owner may play it. A spell cast this way costs 2 more to cast. Pretty good, because honestly, every time I cast this, I always think like, all right, I'm just going to make them lose this card, but then I forget that they can cast it, but then I remember how awkward it is that when they get taxed on all of their spells, you can make all their really good spells really bad by making them cost more. So sometimes you might exile a card from your opponent's hand, and they might just never play it for the rest of the game because it just kind of like makes the value almost not worth it at all for them to play the spell. And that's really good, especially when attached to a 3/1 flyer that just beats. So definitely want to play a few copies of those. 2 copies of Deputy of Detention, which is just really good against a lot of token strategies. Goblins deals with elves if they go wide enough and they have enough cards with the same name. There's just a lot of niche decks that this is really good against, which is why I'm not playing it in the main board. I originally did. 3 copies of Baffling End, again against this creature-heavy matchups. We want to be able to deal with their problematic creatures 3 or less. 2 copies of Mystical Dispute, again against control matchups, and 3 copies of Shark Typhoon to finish off the sideboard. That is to Azorius control Teferi turns in Historic. We're going to take this in the ladder and see if we can get a couple wins by taking all them turns. If you guys like this content, please leave a like on today's video, as well as subscribe down below and hit the bell, especially if you're a new viewer. Really helps the channel out a lot. And one more thing I'm going to start saying, please share the video amongst your friends if, you're unlike me and actually have some friends. I have very few, but please share the video amongst your friends, and I will see you all in the wrap-up. Going into game 1 against Reluctant Dad, okay? We're going to keep this hand. It's not terrible. We're going to use the Fable Passage and get our planes first, just to make sure that we have it untapped. And then we'll follow up with the search. We might even foretell this, and then we can hold up the absorb, and hopefully we're not up against mono red or mono white. Okay, mono white. Yep. Okay. So we definitely want to make sure that we draw everything that we want to draw. So playing this, we might not flip it for a while, like even after it hits 7, because I just want to make sure I have everything I need against this deck. Healer's Hawk's not the worst. Good thing that we were on the play. We get to hold up Absorb for their Heliod, or their Maul of the Skyclaves if they have one. Even their Johnny's Pridemate, I wouldn't mind countering. Yeah, I mean, I guess we have to take that just in case we need to land. Double blue, and we just pass it up. Revitalize, huh? That's fine. Do I mind? Like they're gaining life anyway, right? I mean, I'm not doing anything else this turn with my mana. I mean, I guess I counter this. Do we want that already? Yeah, I guess. Okay. So we're gonna pay the 3 life, which kind of sucks. But we're gonna pass it up. Hold up commit in case they play something outrageous. And then worst case, we'll just play out the Behold the Multiverse, try to find our 5th land and start taking turns. Alright, well, I mean, it's not that bad, right? So they're only going to be hitting us for 2 this turn. We still have enough time to try to find a board wipe. So, I think I am just going to cast Behold. Yikes, that's rough. Okay. Please give me something better than that. Alright, well, we found our 5th land. So, you love it. You absolutely love to see it. And we had the double white. Alright, so we're very vulnerable still. They can just cast Heliod now and get away with it. Which I'd imagine they do. Oh, well, okay. That's fine. Ooh, and they passed it up. Very nice. So I could just start Time Warping. I kind of want to TEFERI, though. Try to find a land.
I know what must be done. Hurry.
We did not. That's okay. We can hold up the double blue for Memory Lapse. Time Walk our opponent. Well, they didn't play that last turn, so odds are they don't have anything else. Unless this is a decoy, which, if it is, props to my opponent. Alright, sick. So I'm pretty sure our opponent just kind of loses from this point.
We need to move quickly.
Maybe. Oh, we found Doomscar. I wonder, maybe if we just take the first turn, they just give it up. It would have been a slow victory, but we would have started exiling their lands, and opponent just kind of good game. Right, game 2 against Crow 412. We're on the play. And our opening hand is okay. I guess we'll have to start off with the Mystic Sanctuary, and we're not going to get that effect, but the rest of the hand seems fine. Say hello to the opponent. Not a very friendly opponent, so I guess I don't feel bad for playing control. Nice Paradise Druid you thought you had. Might as well play Narset. Could take a counterspell. Kind of want to take a Time Warp. They're going to get put to the bottom. Screw it. Taking a Time Warp. So I'm just playing against elves. Not that big of a deal. I mean, I do want a TEFERI, but a 5th land is nice. I guess we take TEFERI, obviously, right? Let's brainstorm on our main phase. Opponent's not going to know which one we draw, I guess. So there's that. They're going to have to assume it's TEFERI, though. Play the Hallowed Fountain tapped. Pass it up. We can hold up the Memory Lapse. I want to let our opponent play out a little bit, and then we're just going to board wipe. 5 mana. This could have a Planeswalker or just a Paradise Druid. Sure.
I was not prepared for this.
Yeah, might as well counter it. Didn't counter the Paradise. But we're just gonna board wipe anyway. Do we, though? 4, 5, 6, 7. They have 7 mana. If they have a land, they have Crater Hoof. Yeah, we got a board wipe. It's always so satisfying board wiping elves, especially because they can just go off at any point. Yeah, I think our best route here is to slow roll them.
Isn't a fight. Not so fast.
So like Teferi minusing is like basically taking a turn anyway, right? Like you just bought back a turn, so now they have to replay their entire situation. And now we know. Oh man, do we have a chance of finding another board wipe here?
I'm not.
Probably not. No. 3, 6. Alright, so let's take an extra turn. I could have foretold that on our end step if I had full control. Let's draw a card.
Let's skip to the good part.
Let's take another extra turn. I probably still can't do it. Oh, there we go. Now I can foretell it. Let's draw another card.
We need to move quickly.
Fabled Passage helps. It's gonna shuffle our time, or not our time warps. We don't have anything actually at the bottom. Never mind. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So let's grab ourselves a land. Solve the equation. We're gonna grab another absorb. And now we just basically have counter spells, board wipes, protection. Alright, so we took nothing. Draw a card.
No time for a break.
Down a memory lapse. Understandable. I'm so sorry, but you should have said hello. Alright, going into the third and final game against Semi-Superman 2. We're on the play. Our hand is very dumb. We don't do anything. I don't like this. This hand is very dumb. Alright, our opponent's not doing anything for the entire game. But neither are we. I actually should have let up with the Fabled, but never punished, as they say. Yeah, screw it. So, I'm not really sure how we are going to do against mono red with the hand that we kept. So our draws have to be godly, and speaking of... Alright, cool. So we can actually brainstorm and still hold up the memory lapse. I guess we want that on the bottom. I don't really want to draw that, so we're going to keep the memory lapse. Pass it up. So they're Boros. Lightning Helix, most likely. Yeah, I guess we just keep countering this guy. Because, I mean, countering a Lightning Helix is redundant. That's fine. Get that out of your hand anyway. Let's go ahead and get our second white source in case we find a board wipe. And at this point, I think we just pass it up again. A very good card to counter, especially with memory lapse. Wow, that was really good. I'm surprised, actually. If they're playing white, I would have just been playing Thrilling Discovery. I guess they're playing Cathartic Reunion and Thrilling Discovery, but at the same time, this doesn't seem right. Alright, so we do not meet the requisites for this, so that kind of sucks. I guess we have to play Narset. Of course, we found a Brainstorm, but we can't play it.
You cannot see your folly.
And TEFERI is pretty good. Let's draw a card first. Oh, let's draw 3, I mean. Alright, cool. So, board wipe. We get to play TEFERI. And we're gonna draw a card.
Right on schedule. Let's skip to the good part.
Granted, Narset's gonna die and totally eat shit, but that's fine. They can't kill TEFERI unless they drew into another spell.
Not going to win this.
I must train harder.
We need to move quickly.
We take our Wrath of God and put that on top, honestly. Just in case we end up needing another board wipe anytime soon. And if our opponent Cathartic Reunions again, I'm gonna feel very bad. Oh, God. Oh, God, that feels so bad. Oof.
Hurry.
Gonna grab ourselves another Absorb. God, that feels so bad. Oh man, I mean, like I said, I like to hope he's playing Thrilling Discovery, but who knows? Good game, I guess. Welcome back to the wrap up, everyone. If you made it this far, it means you watched the entire video, and I appreciate that greatly. Thank you very much. And if you made it this far, please consider liking, subscribing, and hitting the bell, especially if you're a new viewer, and check out the channel and all the other content that I have. Leave a comment down below if you guys liked the deck and have any suggestions, or if you guys have anything you guys want to see. I look forward to playing some more Strixhaven on camera for you guys, and I'm not gonna lie, it's gonna be a lot of blue decks. Probably a lot of blue decks, because Brainstorm, Memory Lapse, and Time Warp are just like, they're just so good. They're so good to play with each other. And yeah, so with that being said, if you guys liked the deck, please check the link down below to the Aether Hub so you guys can import it into Arena and try it out for yourselves. And try it out in best of 3, all that good stuff. And I'm Rob, aka Untap Your Go. It's been real, everyone. I'll see you all in the next video, and thank you for watching. Bye-bye.